All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. We greatly appreciate you spending some time with us here today. We are going to take a look at the Joe Rogan podcast. We're going to pay attention to this because this is probably the most important interview that's taking place in this election cycle. We're going to sit back, we're going to watch the entire thing, and we're going to try to do it a little quicker. Let me reorientate myself here for a second. We're going to try to do it a little bit quicker. We'll speed it up just a tad. Don't want to get copyright struck, and I've got a soccer practice here a little bit later on, so we'll try to get to all of those. So stay tuned. We'll go ahead and we'll jump right to that right now. Joe Rogan, Donald Trump. This is what I want out of this before we get started here. I want him to talk about the issues. I want him to keep the personal attacks to a minimum, and I feel like I'm not going to get either of those things. But that's just where I'm at. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Like, being this outside candidate and lays out how hard it is. And he truly is that. I mean, there's no question about that. He doesn't fit within the traditional Republican realm and all these other things. Again, this is a great format for him. It gives an opportunity for him to explain exactly how he feels and how he felt when this all started. And yes, I'm being asked, is he talking faster? Yes, I've sped it up a little bit because I have a soccer game in about 2.5 or 3 hours. Soccer practice. So, yeah, I've sped it up a little bit just to make this go a little quicker because I think it's important, and I do want to see it myself, and I'm going to sit here and watch this. I might as well watch it with you guys. You know, they don't want to be known because they don't want to be seen as losing. They all want the opportunity because, of course, you do. Even if you disagree with Donald Trump, you want the opportunity to get in there and make a difference in the government. You want to be able to play along. And that's not to get along or anything like that, but you want to be able to have an impact on what's happening in the world. Why would you not? It just makes complete sense. I think that makes complete sense. This is just interesting to watch how this process works out. And you know what? This is why Kamala Harris can't do this. She can't be honest about who she is, and she can't be honest about how things. Yeah, you know, it's a double-edged sword with that kind of stuff. You have this idea that Donald Trump, he does all this quote unquote wild shit, and it's true, it's funny, and it's all these other things. I agree with that, but you know. He does better when he's not doing this. This is better than, I know this is kind of repetitive here. I'm giving you the same thing, but I got to tell you, this is the most important interview of 2024, no question about it. And he's doing great here because he's not saying wild shit. Now we're 25 minutes in, so let's see how it all goes. But still, I think he's doing a great job. A great job.
When he did this Biden media, it's opened up the credibility to
100% correct. Joe Rogan is 100% right. All these people who go on there and just say things that we know they don't believe, it hurts everyone involved in that conversation. Scott Jennings is awesome. Ryan Girdusky is awesome because they go on CNN and they fight. The people like Alyssa Farah, whatever her name is, she goes out there and says things like, you know, she doesn't believe. Amanda Carpenter has been another one who went out there and just basically forsook all the positions they've ever held to be mad at Trump, thinking that it's going to give them credibility. Sure, it'll give them a paycheck at CNN, but eventually that peters out because nobody trusts you.
independent.
That's a bit to me. And don't forget, this is election interference and fraud, and it's 60 Minutes. It's their news division, so
It's a big deal.
They give those licenses out, Joe, for free. They should pay a fortune. They're worth a fortune. They give them out for free because they're using the public airwaves. With cable, you don't have that. Cable's different, but you know, it's just a different deal. But with the networks, they give those licenses. They're worth billions of dollars. They give them out free, but you have to be honest and all. That was bad. I think that David Muir and that woman that was aside, I never even heard of her, but they kept interrupting me. It was like, I said, how many people am I debating here? I got this one and I got you two. But he went after me 11 different times. You know, it's interesting. I always thought he was a nice guy, but he's just like the rest of them, you know?
Well, that's his job, unfortunately, and I'm
No, but
sure
not when they're
what they
wrong.
want. You're right. Well, the problem was they fact-checked you, and they didn't fact-check her. And
Not
one of the
at
most
all.
egregious examples of that was when she said that there are no troops right now deployed in war zones.
Yeah.
There's a very famous viral video that went online of troops in a war zone saying, well, what the fuck are we then? Because there's thousands of them. Dan Crenshaw, the congressman, posted on his Instagram all of the various examples of
Too many.
troops that are deployed, thousands and thousands of troops that are currently deployed.
Stupidly deployed.
But the point is, if this is going to be an actual real debate and not a propaganda exercise, if it's going to be a real debate, you have to fact check everybody.
So
Like if
they-
someone
they
says
never went
maybe she
after her.
thought there was no, which is also a problem.
You know, the problem with the whole not fact-checking thing, and this I thought was interesting about the debate, everyone's like, oh, they're mad that he fact-checked. No. They're not upset that they're fact-checking. They're upset that they're not fact-checking. Everyone, like they're saying here, you would have Kamala Harris say things and they would not push back. And then they would talk about to Trump and they would want to fight with him. Oh, we have to. No, you either do it or you don't. And in reality, you should just stay out of it and let the people themselves do it. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to play a role, put a thumb on the scale, and do that. That's what they actually wanted to do. So that's why they didn't do that. That is a big problem.
The United States put everybody out of business, right? Here we go again. I said, if that plant is there when I'm president, I will put 100 or 200% tariffs on every car. They'll be unsaleable in the United States. And they just announced they're not going to build the plant because they think I'm going to win. Think of it. They're not going to build the plant. This was the biggest plant in the world. It would have more than all of Michigan makes. That's how big. This is what we're getting to. And I said, if that plan goes up, I want them to understand if I win, I'm going to tax those cars at the rate of 100 or 200% apiece so that you won't be able to sell them in the United States. They just announced they're not going to build the plant.
Yeah, I read this.
I did a big favor for our country by doing that. And I'm not even there yet. To me, the most beautiful word, and I've said this for the last couple of weeks, in the dictionary today, is the word tariff. It's more beautiful than love. It's more beautiful than anything. It's the most beautiful word. This country can become rich with the proper use of tariffs.
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure. But why not? Because our country was the richest relatively in the 1880s and 1890s. A president who was assassinated named McKinley.
This, however, is bullshit, Trump. We're not getting rid of the income tax and replacing it with tariffs. The idea behind tariffs is basically this. If we are willing to put 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, then they will have to decide whether or not they want to continue doing what they're doing. That's it. Same thing. It'll happen all over the country or all over the world. You can't sell American cars overseas because the tariffs are too high, but we'll buy their cars. Well, you just make it to where you will not be able to sell your cars here because the tariffs will be too high. And then they'll have to either stop selling their cars here or they'll have to drop tariffs on our stuff. It's all very simple. It doesn't know which one's going to be, but either way, the American worker is going to benefit from that. Okay? Because the tariffs, when they stop them overseas, you'll be able to sell more cars and make more cars here. If they don't do that, you make more cars here because you won't be able to sell a Kia at double the price. This is not hard stuff. It's hard to do, but it's not hard to understand what he's getting at. Will he actually do it? I hope so, because I think we need to see some of this stuff actually play itself out.
Dollars that was wasted on this internet access program.
I can talk to you about that in Alabama. Holy cow, what a waste of money. We're spending billions of dollars here alone running cables into rural areas when you don't have to do it. And there are people in the legislature trying their best to get into the Starlink thing as opposed to doing that because all the money being spent. But there's just too much people who are interested in the developing of it. You talk about the government and how it's corrupt, and there's just too many people who are interested in laying that cable from the last mile is what they call it. And they say, okay, well this last mile is going to be very hard to do and very expensive to get it to these houses. And it's like, no, just drop a Starlink and do that instead. Pay for that. It's cheaper. No, they're not interested in that. They're interested in spending billions of dollars. It's a grift. That's what it is.
They didn't get anybody.
They haven't hooked up one person than somebody. You can't really play with somebody. It doesn't work. You can give them sort of the equivalent of strokes, right? But it's not this. With golf, you can play with a lousy guy and give him a stroke a hole or 2 strokes a hole or something. It's a good handicapping sport. Right. But it gives me a little exercise. But I haven't played in a long time. I won a lot. I won 32 club championships.
Didn't you play right after you got shot?
No. What I did is I played with Bryson DeChambeau. Do you know Bryson?
Yes.
The pro. He's a great player. And we played, it was a certain thing that we played, I guess called breaking 50 or something. 50 would play from a certain tee, and if you can break 50. And it got tremendous ratings. It was sort of like a crazy thing. He's a great guy.
But wasn't that like a couple of days after you got shot?
I don't know. I know I haven't.
That was one of the funniest things you were on the golf course.
I think I did, yeah, maybe I did. But I view it very interestingly. I'm running for president of the United States. To me, it's such a big deal. It's so important. So
it's the biggest deal in the free world.
It's 100 times bigger than the Super Bowl, and it's one person.
Yeah.
So you're down to 2 people, and we start off at 9 billion. Because you have 9 billion, they say, in the world. Who knows what that number is? But you get down to 350 million. Sadly, we have no idea what we have in this country, but let's assume it's 325, 350. And you're down to 2 people. It's the biggest thing in the world. And when I heard she took off yesterday and she took off the day before and she's going to take off tomorrow or the next day, I haven't taken a day off in 56 days. That's a long time. I haven't taken one day off. I don't want to play golf. This is too exciting. Golf is great, but this is too exciting. This is more exciting than anything you can do. And
also, it's the home stretch.
It's the home stretch. Who would take a day off? So we have 11 days left now. And think of it. So I think I've gone 54, 55 days in a row, no days off. And I make speeches oftentimes, sometimes not, but I make speeches. And when you make a speech.
The idea that Trump is phoning it in is so stupid and embarrassing. It's just what they're trying to make this into, like, because they said it about Biden, we're going to say it about him. That's all that is. It is so dumb. And yes, for those who are asking, I'm playing at a little bit of a faster speed because I got to get through this because I got soccer to coach here in a little bit for my kid. So yeah, we're speeding up. But if Kamala Harris could ever do something like that where she sits down for 3 hours, hell, she couldn't do what I did and sit here for 3 hours and watch and talk about it. But I thought it was great. I think this is one of the better interviews this is the best interview I've ever seen Trump do because they were talking about actual issues and not trying to do 100 gotchas in a row and try to get him to answer questions he's answered 100 times. This was great. This is the Trump we need to see over the next couple of weeks, next week and a half. I guess I keep saying that. It's kind of surprising it's coming so soon. But it was fantastic. Thank you very much for watching. If you watched, like, share, subscribe, do all the stupid internet things you're supposed to do. We'll do more of these streams. Obviously, I enjoy them. Hope you enjoy them as well. Thank you for leaving your comments and things like that. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.